Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ann Miller French. I am here to do today's live event regarding a topic that has actually been coming up. Within the last week, I had some different things pop up on my feed as far as something that I posted a year ago regarding a personal experience that I had with being bullied as a child. And there were other things that came up. And I always believe that if you follow where you're being guided, you're exactly where you're meant to be. So I'm here today and I'm going to be talking about the effects of bullying on the inner child. And while there's so much that I want to share regarding this topic. So for anyone that's joining me, live, hello and welcome. With StreamYard, just allow permission for, I think it's just to for your name. And if you have any questions, whether you're here on the live with me or if you're catching the replay, send your questions in. I will do my best to get back to your questions as quickly as possible. Anybody that's catching the live feed, I'm going to be available for question and answer. So a little bit about me. I wear many different hats. I am the owner and founder of Angelic Hands. I work from home, so all of my services that I offer are offered remotely, and I connect with my clients in many different ways. We connect through Zoom. Some of my clients like to use Google Duo, and sometimes just over the phone. So it really depends on where someone is at. I am certified and experienced as a quantum life coach. I'm a Reiki master teacher, quantum energy healer, and a light language practitioner. I am the author of my first book of poetry, which is called From Heart to Pen to Paper, Inspirational Poems for the Soul, which really gives the readers a look into my healing journey. And as I started writing and getting the words out, it was very therapeutic for me. But for those that have already purchased the book, that have already read the book, I received so much beautiful feedback as far as how my experiences and my words that I shared helped others that were going through, healing from PTSD and sexual abuse and traumas and depression and anxiety and domestic violence. So um, check that out. It's available on Amazon.com. I am also, excuse me, a psychic, a medium, and an intuitive, and I'm an empath. So today I am going to be, talking about the, like I said, the effects of bullying on the inner child. The inner child is the part of us that's all about play, creativity, imagination, having fun. And anytime the inner child has been hurt, humiliated, traumatized, bullied, if we've had any injuries, any losses, any type of separation, rejection, abandonment, there is this part of us that was created so we can actually have multiple personalities. That's one way that I like to look at it, and it's the only part of us that is human, and that's the ego. So the ego is also known as the wounded inner child, and is a part of us that was developed as a protection mechanism for the inner child. So I'm going to be talking about how, you know, with bullying and the lifelong effects, and if you can think back to a time in your life where, some of the information that I've shared, or if you know someone that is currently being bullied or has gone through bullying, or um, something that you may have witnessed, letting you know different things that are available. And I'm also going to be sharing some of my personal journey. So there's different types of bullying. I made some notes here. I just want to make sure that I cover as much as possible. So there's physical bullying, there's emotional abuse, like gaslighting, there's narcissism, there's mental bullying, mental abuse. So I look at it as, like your self talk and wh- how you're talking to yourself. So if it's constantly negative self-talk, and that's a form of abuse, and unfortunately being a bully to ourselves, and it's being perceived by the inner child as a form of an attack, and it can really create a disconnect, and um, a lot of grief, a lot of sadness. There's verbal bullying, cyberbullying, sexual bullying, and social bullying. So, social, whether it's workplace, at home, in the school, in public, really in any different setting. So, some of the lifelong effects on the inner child, being having been bullied, and different things that, you can experience. And I know I can relate to quite a bit on this, actually to all of this on this list that I'm going to share with you. And I'll actually share a little bit regarding my background and why I was guided by my team and spirit, connecting with my higher self to talk about this very topic today. So, some of the long-term effects are, you're easily triggered by someone because it brings up an unhealed part of you, something that's still locked in that space and time based on something that happened to you in the past. And we'll talk about, how healing and how coaching will help you work through those areas, those things, those walls, those things that you may be missing or having a hard time working through, and rediscovering lost parts of self. That's the journey that we're all on right now. um, PTSD, so it's post traumatic stress disorder, fear, isolation, depression, suicidal thoughts, pain, aches in the body, autoimmune disorders. For me personally, back in late 2014, and that actually, that healing process carried well into 2016. The autoimmune disease that I had experienced at that time was Lyme disease, and it was, I don't wish that upon anyone. Of course, there's a lot of other ones, but when the nervous system and our immune system is so compromised and really never gets out of that, talk about the nervous system responses, a fight, flight, freeze, um, where it's constantly left on. Our system never gets a chance to autocorrect, to reset, to rebalance, to reboot. So it creates, a whole host of, like I said, autoimmune disorders, disease, illness. Makes us more susceptible to, viruses. Got the high levels of stress. Like I said, the compromised immune system. Okay, and fortunately, it looks like I dropped out for a minute, so hopefully we didn't lose too much of the broadcast. I'm just going to keep going here. So again, going through this list regarding the, lifelong effects on the inner child, being, you know, having experienced any type of bullying, like the different types of bullying that I mentioned earlier. Um, there's the pent up emotions like the anger, rage, resentment, jealousy, sadness, grief, issues with sleeping, also known as insomnia, having nightmares, where the victim of having received you know those bullying tactics for year after year after year, time after time, where the victim actually becomes the bully, you know, him or herself. Uh, Narcissistic tendencies as a way of it's like taking on that different identity, like I talked about earlier, and a lack of confidence, lack of self esteem. So, some of the nervous system responses, as I mentioned before, there's fight. The ones that we're, most commonly aware of, or maybe not, and that's okay. It's fight, flight, freeze. There's also fawn. So, fight is facing any perceived threat aggressively. Flight is running away from the danger. Freeze is unable to move or act against a threat. So you literally lock up, don't know, don't know what to do. And the last one is fawn, and that one is immediately acting to try to please, um, you know, the perpetrator, the bully, to avoid any additional conflict. And what ends up happening is um, through the people pleasing tendencies, we find ourselves or one finds themselves in a situation where they're like living a second identity and living a life that really isn't true to their soul signature, to their purpose, or to who they truly are. It's like living under someone or living through someone else's expectations. So um part of my journey and experience with this is I remember being a little girl and being in grade school, and I was very, very petite, very tiny for my age. So I remember, in grade school being picked on regarding, my size, being short, being tiny, having skinny arms, looking different from the other children, being a mixed I have a hard time with that word, ethnicity. So, I embrace all of who I am today. I embrace all of who I am becoming and all of the changes. But at that time, when you're still trying to work with your own identity and really get an understanding of who you are and why you're here, and um, you come in, you're in this body, you have all these different emotions, but then you're faced with these different things. So part of this journey is, before we even come in, I truly believe that our soul, when we are, energy and we're not in the body yet, we are taking on different experiences, different things that we want to work through. Perhaps it's unfinished business from a previous lifetime, or things that we want to experience and learn to help us grow and evolve as a soul. So we come into this physical form and we experience these different things. Another part of it is looking at I look at it from the standpoint of, just based on things that I've experienced in my life and things that I've learned over time, that when we're in a situation where we're triggered or we find that we're on the receiving end of being bullying, now through my awareness and with the different things that I've learned, the different tools and techniques that I've developed over time, and trust me, it took some time, it didn't happen overnight. I asked myself the question, what still going on inside of me, knowing that, and I talk about this a lot, we're creating our reality from in here, from the inside out. So it's like, what's going on in here is acting like a movie projector. So anything outside of us is a reflection of, what's going on the inside. So it's, looking at it, from the standpoint of where do I have this war going on inside of me? Where am I not at peace with myself? When have I bullied someone? When have I played the role of the victim? When have I played the role of the perpetrator? Uh, where is there a greater opportunity for healing? What part of me has checked out? So those fractals of our consciousness, and we're seeing that through, you know, people that are outside of us, their mirrors reflecting back. Now, I know firsthand when you're, in that situation where you're on the receiving end of being bullied or you're being picked on, and you're being attacked in any way, shape, or form. It's not always a matter of, all these things that I mentioned, that it's going to come quickly, but I look at it now, as I continue to move forward and work through those layers, and really taking a step back and saying, okay, what lesson am I meant to learn from this? Where is there a greater opportunity for healing? What's going on inside of me? So, with anybody that's hopping on the live, and again, if you're catching the replay, feel free to add your questions in the feed. Let me know who's here. It's always great to see who's connecting with me. Um, Part of, the journey is, looking at different things, where you're at, how far you've come. And I know for me, like I said, going back to my situation in grade school, and, constantly being picked on, and then different things that I experienced throughout my childhood, and really, looking at it, like, I did learn a lot. And over the course of time, I realized where I had, in some situations, I was the bully, or in some situations I was playing the role of the victim. And through that person's actions, I learned how to take my power back, become my own best friend, really look at, that negative self-talk that I had with myself, that war that I had within, and also taking a look at what part of me did I have to turn way down, as a child. So if you look at, where you were at in the pecking order, where you were at in the ranking, if you will, as far as popularity, status, whatever you want to call it, in the home, in the family unit, and were you considered the favorite? Were you considered the star? Or did you feel like you were constantly being, criticized? And again, I look at, every single one of those experiences, and every single one of those, people that came into my life as some of my greatest teachers. Now, when I went through those situations, it didn't feel like that. I had so much anger. I had so much hatred. I, had a lot of fears, and was working through so many different pent up emotions and feelings regarding, those different situations. But it's knowing that there are tools available to us. So I'm going to share some of the things that you can do to help to take your power back. And I know that there's a lot of amazing information online, different support groups, different, groups that really help to, empower others, inspire others, to help you, to end the cycle of abuse. So energy healing is very helpful, opening up the areas that are blocked, When you look at a person holistically, body, mind, spirit, bringing about greater balance to anything that, again, has been balanced for so long, any part of you that was atrophied for so long because it wasn't in use. Where is your balance between and we all house this, your right brain, left brain, masculine, feminine side, bringing them into harmony, bringing them into balance, and really becoming um, very much aware of that part of you, that side of you, and how to work with those different parts of you. Coaching, so, working with a life coach, that's part of what I do in addition to the energy healing. So, energy healing, there's Reiki, there's light language healing, there's quantum energy healing, there's so many other modalities. It's just finding, what feels like your next step for you. The coaching, so that's working through the blind spots, the things that you may be missing. That's where I step in and act as your mirror to help you to see these areas, work through these areas, identify these areas, start looking at the parts of you that checked out and calling home these missing pieces of self, like, bringing pieces back to a puzzle. The puzzle is you, so you can feel whole again. Doing shadow work, like facing those darkest aspects of self, the parts of us that were rejected, we rejected, abandoned, the parts of us that we, uh, don't want to look at, things that we feel are dark, icky, gross. I've heard it all, and having looked at a lot of my stuff and continuing to work through that, and looking at, okay, where's the imbalance, what's coming up right now, and looking at the shadow aspect of self, and knowing that we house not only light but also dark, and it's the merging of the two sides together, working for the greater good, and coming together, reintegrating, with this ascension journey that we're on, this awakening process that we're on, and coming together as higher self, and leading from this space, from the heart rather than from the mind. um, Mentoring, other things that you can do. This is actually one of my favorites. I call it purge writing. Some people call it automatic writing. Let's say, for example, you find yourself in a situation where you're triggered, or you did have an event where you were bullied, or you witnessed somebody else being bullied, or something came up where you're feeling triggered, your system is revved up. So I take a sheet of paper, I take a blue pen, and I hold conversations with my inner child. I check in with her. I ask her, what are you feeling right now? How are you feeling? And just allowing the words to come out, no judgment whatsoever. I've written it all, where I've written the words, I hate you, I hate this, I mean, literally letting that purge take place, and getting that stuck energy out of the body. And it allows you to create space. It allows you to feel so much lighter in the process. You may even find that as you're going through the process, like holding space, like a parent to a child, or a guardian to a child, it's really letting those emotions come up and being present with it, because anytime we try to shove it back down, numb it out, ignore it, trust me, I've tried. It comes back up, full force, and we have to look at it. Or if it gets deeply impacted in the body and it solidifies, we end up with, like I mentioned before, um, it's autoimmune disorders, illness, aches, pains, literally different things, and then feeling such a disconnect and such an isolation, and not being able to see clearly because we're housed with so much grief and so much heaviness and all that stuck energy. So the goal is to bring it up, get it out. Part of life coaching, energy healing, I'm literally holding space for my clients as they actively work on addressing these different areas, pulling back the layers, looking at what's there, what are the trapped emotions, what's the root cause, what created this, and calling these pieces home so you can start to feel whole again. Let's see. Like I mentioned, grief release work, giving your inner child permission to feel, processing emotions, even if that means having a good, healthy cry, or if you're angry. I always tell my clients, grab a squishy pillow and get the words out. What were you not allowed to say? Like literally get that out of your body, channel it into the pillow, and making space. So many different, things that you can do, um, finding a way to create a safe environment for you. So if find that you're in a position like in the workplace or at school or in, social situations at home, that's so important to create a safe space for your inner child and let him or her know, I see you, I hear you, I'm with you, I love you. Even if that means reaching out to someone that you trust and, talking it out, or joining some type of a support group, or see what's available in your local community. Um, the other thing is, when we start bringing these things up, bringing it out, so now we have this energy that's here. It's knowing that the energy doesn't die, it changes form. So what do we want to do with this? Well, there's a lot of different things that you can do with this. Um, Use your creativity and imagination, and you can have the conversation with your inner child. Say, okay, what would you like to make with this? Or just allow your heart to guide you. So is it listening to soothing music, spending some time in nature, um, writing, listening to music, creating art, painting, journaling? For me, part of my journey was, all the poetry that was flowing through me, and that started back in 2019 as I noticed that those really, 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 really heavy stuck, energies, those layers, all that started lifting and coming up and coming out. So it was like giving life to a part of me that, like, was dead. Um, so exercise is so powerful. It really helps, with boosting the mood. Um, Dancing, and making something with your hands, like I said, drawing. It doesn't even have to be anything elaborate. It's just taking that time and saying, okay, with all this that I'm doing, what can I do to really help me with that forward momentum? So if you find that you're in a position right now where you're really struggling, if you're finding that you're recovering from any type of abuse, or if you have a loved one that's having a hard time, know that you have options that are available to you. And if there's any way that I can be of help, don't hesitate to reach out. Again, I offer, energy healing, quantum life coaching, and being a mentor, being a teacher, and holding space. And I've been working with a lot of my clients on different things, and sharing a lot of my own personal experiences as far as where I was at and where I'm at today, and how I turn my life's pain into my life's purpose. And that's helping others with the healing of their inner child and the grief release work and the ascension coaching and so much more, and turning your limits into some of your greatest potentials, living your life as higher self, boosting your self confidence, getting back your self esteem, and having that forward momentum, creating that life that you truly deserve instead of feeling like you're going this way and then you're going back, going this way and you're going back. So it's working through those deep layers and getting to the roots, and finding the root cause of what created the disconnect in the first place. So I hope that you found this information helpful. Again, if there's any questions, feel free to leave them in the in the comments section. I will get back to you as soon as I can. For anyone that joined me today, thank you so very much. If you find that there's someone out there that can benefit from this information, feel free to share it. Um, on YouTube, stay connected. Please subscribe, and click on the bell icon to get notified when I go live. I'm also going to be sharing, this is something that I do every Friday. It's my oracle card reading for the weekend. So that is something that I do. It's fun for me. It's fun for my inner child. That's a form of play. And I'll be sharing this week's messages. I'll be doing a 3-card spread. If you're not connected with me on Facebook, again, you can find me under Angelic. That's with the letter K and then the word hands, and that's LLC. Again, my name is Ann Miller French, and I hope that you have an amazing weekend. Thank you.